Okay, so this is for my presentation. To be honest, I'm just going to clarify some things for myself while I'm doing this. Um, so all I submitted so far was a slide. I was a bit confused if I needed to give a write up along with it. So I did anyways. If it's for the final, it's fine. I'll just make edits to fit that rubric. But it also contains a link to a Canva, which I already have open. My laptop's lagging quite bad, to be honest, and got a lot of commotion going on outside. So sorry about that. Um, so hold on, see if I can. Oh man, it's super laggy. So we have a legend. This is very rushed. I'll be honest. I'll be very transparent. It's pretty rushed stuff because we had our exams, but no excuses. We have a legend. It's basically saying solid lines that connect main themes or umbrella topics to our main theme, which is indigenous social detriments of health, along with dotted lines. I'll just explain the other one without going up because it's way too laggy. Um, with dotted lines connecting subtopics from these umbrella terms or main topics, right? So here we have indigenous social detriments of health, and a main point would be indigenous worldviews. I can't do anything about this lag. So yeah, indigenous worldviews is one main topic with it representing a umbrella term for a bunch of subtopics. I'll only use this as an example and we'll go through the other main topics. Oh wow. So, traditional core values, cultural identity, holistic wellness, relationality, land as medicine. These are all some subtopic points on a main point, which, like I mentioned, would be Indigenous worldviews. So, the main points across my presentation is Indigenous worldviews, colonization, cultural safety, access barriers, and systemic racism, structural determinants or socioeconomic factors, as well as community led healing. Uh, Sorry, it's just really hard to scroll across right now. Okay, so the next thing I can talk about with you guys is, or to the prof, is the subtopics. So, like I mentioned, the dotted lines connect subtopics from one group to another. For example, let's say we're looking at food insecurity in the structural determinants or socioeconomic factors. It connects all the way to. Oh, this is a very big struggle. I don't know why it's so laggy. Oh man. Traditional core values. So basically, the idea here is that a dotted line starts from traditional core values. You follow the line, and there is some text to explain what the connection is. So traditional values, so therefore they lost the loss of traditional hunting practices, which would allow them for a specific diet, has been taken away from them, and has led to food insecurity as well as access to healthy food. So they rely on more calorie dense foods, quick foods from stores, not healthy options, right? And then to give one more example, I tried to get at least two examples from each group. I don't think I have time to do I'm not going to do a lot of them because you could sit here and make tons of connections, but it's way too laggy and my recording would be way too long. So, poverty cycle, for example, this is pretty explanatory. If you're in a poverty cycle, accessibility for healthcare gets affected, so poor health outcomes are possible. Or you could look at educational gaps, which if you're not in education, unfortunately, it may lead to discrimination or stereotyping of indigenous communities, chronic illness and stress. This is probably correlated to intergenerational trauma. This is probably going to be my last example just because it's way too long, and then I'm going to go through some, yeah, intergenerational trauma. All right. So yeah, I tried to get at least two connections between points. Um, Personally, I do admit that I did somewhat rush this because of exam times, and there are certain things I would like to understand. Like in these maps, there's a lot of points that I think could be connected or just put into one web, but I was unsure if you're supposed to have them as their standalone things. For example, um, let's say we were talking about overcrowded housing, unsafe living conditions, and chronic illness. Those 3 points to me can go in a specific order. Like I would put that as overcrowded housing, unsafe living conditions, chronic illness, and stress. So I wasn't sure if I was supposed to separate them into their own topics or have them layered like that. Personally, I would have rather layered them like that, but maybe that would lead to some unclarity and confusion. So who knows? As for transitioning to the final submission, I'm not sure if we're supposed to, but I would find a template that fits with some of these points. And I don't think I would use all of these points, just the general ideas, maybe throw in one or two examples from sub points into a template, but I'm not so sure. And that's where I'm looking for some advice. Also, I did take some use of my advice from last time. So before this, I guess version of my concept map, I had cultural safety and community led healing as one topic. I've separated them. I still find them to be quite relative, like they're pretty hand in hand. But I did end up separating them and creating their own subpoints: anti-racist care, address power imbalance, etc. Same thing here, but this is more about like cultural revitalization, maintaining cultural identity, land-based holistic healing. See, but wait, I might have. Yeah, okay. So they're very, very related. And what else did we change? Oh yeah, so same thing with intergenerational trauma. This used to be its own main point. However, I've just changed it to colonization. Also, it used to not be called colonization. It used to be called, I can't remember at the top of my head, I think colonial policies and their effects, something along those lines. So we've changed that to colonization just to keep it more simple. And I think that was the general advice, along with making connections between subtopics. But yeah, that's my presentation. Advice would be very appreciated. And thank you for listening.